All right, so I'm going to get started now. I want you all to know that for those of you who do not know me, my name is Trisha Fontenot. I'm the Instructional Technology Facilitator here at St. Landry Parish School Board. I'm also your district webmaster and social media manager and your graphic designer. So if you have any questions while I'm going through the Google Classroom training, please feel free to chat those questions into the chat box. I'll be glad to answer them. The question, a really burning question that you just absolutely have to ask right then and there, and you can't do so in the chat or don't really feel like doing that, then you can, of course, unmute yourself and I'll be glad to answer it there. All right, so let's get started and have some fun. So Google Classroom. Let's talk about what is Google Classroom. Google Classroom is available to schools with Google Apps for Education, and of course, we absolutely have Google Apps for Education here in St. Landry Parish. Classroom is a way to get all of your students in one place, and it allows you to easily assign work and for students to turn that work into you. And it's also based in your Google Drive. So all of the folders, what I love about Google Classroom is that it takes your whole classroom and it organizes it for you right within your Google Drive. Okay, so, and we'll talk more about that. Google Classroom helps teachers to create and collect assignments paperlessly. All right, so you don't have all that paper that you're having to hand out. And of course, at times like these, when there's really no better option, it's a good thing to know. It also includes time-saving features like make a copy of a Google document for each student. So that's something that we'll get more into and I'll explain more about. What I like to say is, you know, when you're the teacher in the classroom, you're passing out paper, you're giving one to each student, right? Well, in Google Classroom, they have the same feature. So let's say you are giving an assignment. When you go to create that assignment, you would just hit the button, create a copy for each student. So therein, you're giving each student a copy of the assignment that you want them to complete. So it's kind of like the teacher in the classroom and passing out paper. Again, I'm looking at the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to answer them as I go so I can clarify things if you need. And right now I'm just giving you a summary of what Classroom is because I feel like it's important to know why you're using a specific platform or what features that platform has available to you. So and really what the purpose is of that platform. Okay, so I feel like if you don't really know that or have that background information, this may not be as meaningful to you. So like I said before, Google Classroom creates Drive folders for each assignment and student right there in your Google Drive. So you don't have to organize anything. Google Classroom does it for you. Students can keep track of what's due on the assignments page, and they can begin working with just a click. So it's really, really simple to use for the teachers and for the students. Teachers can quickly see who has or hasn't completed the work that they've assigned and provide direct real-time feedback and marks from within the classroom. So that's also something that you can do within Classroom that's really nice because you can kind of really tailor things to specific students or to the whole class. And I have a question coming in that says, are we going to have access to this PowerPoint? And the answer is absolutely yes. All of the things that I use or reference, you will get access to. So moving right along, let's get started with how do we create our own class. So there are two ways that you can create a Google Classroom. The first way is that you can click on the apps, the little apps button, and then you'll see, I don't have it here because usually it's on here. It says I'm not signed in, but I really am, so I don't really know exactly why that's happening, but let me go ahead and try to sign myself in again, because evidently it just signed me out. Okay, so just give me 1 second here. All right, so we should be up and running. I am not exactly sure what's happening here with my Google, but I will get down to the bottom of it really, really quickly. All right, so let me see, guys. Just give me 1 minute to find out why I am no longer signed in. Not this. All right, here we go. All right, so the first way, like I was talking about, is to click on the waffle menu right next to your picture or your initials, and then you're going to click on Classroom. So that's one way to get to Google Classroom. All right, and so I'm going to show you that. You must be signed into your Google account, and then you click on Classroom, and that'll get you to your classroom. All right, the second way, and I guess what I'm going to do is show you that right now, is if you just open up a tab and type in classroom.google.com. So if you type in classroom.google.com, that will also get you to your classroom. All right, so let me go back to my Google Drive so I can pull up my presentation. Let's see here. Just a little bump in the road. I'm going to go to recent. By the way, this is the drive, guys, if you don't know that. And I just went to recent because I had just pulled up Google Drive. So now we should be good to go. All right, so this is where we were. Like I said, there's 2 ways to log in. You go to the waffle menu next to your name or your initial, and then click on Classroom. Here's the icon here. Or you open up a tab and type in classroom.google.com. You can also click here because it's linked once you have the PowerPoint presentation. Now, keep in mind, whenever you have just signed in to Google Classroom, you've never used it before, what you want to do is keep in mind that your screen will not look like mine. It's going to look like this. It's going to have an introductory screen, and at which point you would click on Go to Classroom. All right. So again, if you have never used Classroom before, this is what it's going to look like for you. Any questions, just type them in the chat box. All right, so once you do that, if you're a first-time user, you're going to see a plus sign right at the top right of your classroom platform. So you would click on that plus sign. Once you do that, it's going to show you that you can join a class or create a class. And so what you would want to do is, since you're the teacher, you want to create a class. All right. So how to create your own class. Again, click on the plus sign by your name and click on Create Class. Type in your class's name and section. And then you can also put the subject and even the room number if you choose to. And then you click on Create. So this is what I'm going to do, guys. I've gone through some of the things that I thought you needed to know before we got started on the live Google Classroom. But now I think we're ready to move on. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and go to a new tab. I'm going to click on the waffle menu, and I'm going to click on Classroom to go to my classroom. As you can see, mine looks a little bit different than yours, maybe not. But anyway, in any case, remember that plus sign I was telling you about? It's right here at the top right of the screen, all right? Since you are the teacher, you definitely want to click on the plus sign and click Create Class, all right? So remember, once you do that, it's going to ask you for a class name. So I'll type in Google Classroom, April 29th. It is the 29th, right? Yeah. Okay. Kind of lost in my days. I'm sure you probably feel the same way now that we're teaching from home or working from home. This is where I feel like I need to explain a few things. You may have a class full of students, and then in one section, and then another section that has this, you know, an ELA. Like, let's say you teach ELA to section 1, and then you teach ELA to section 2, ELA to section 3, and your thought process is probably telling you, let's just put them all in one class, so I only have to manage one class. Okay, so I'm here to tell you that that is not the best way to go about this, okay? Because Google Classroom makes it very easy for you to assign across classrooms. If you put all those kids into one classroom, and let's say one day you have the same lesson plan that you plan on teaching to all of your sections, right? All of the kiddos, but there's only one problem. School got out early because it snowed, or we had a hailstorm, or whatever. So then you have a problem because you've assigned something to all of the students, but you haven't really gotten to that yet with another class. If you separate the sections out and put each class and then their section, then I'll show you how easy it is to assign the same material to all of your sections. Without having to give them all the same assignment in the event that something does happen where you didn't get to cover material that you thought you would be covering with all of the sections. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, if you need clarification, just type in and I'll try to clean that up a bit. So let's say section 1. 1 is here, okay? And then my subject might be math. All right. So I'm not going to put the room number, but you can. And then you click Create. Now, keep in mind, remember I told you, Google Classroom organizes your classroom and your folder for you. So basically what's going to happen here is it's going to create your class for you, and it's going to put folders in right there in your Google Drive for you. So, and it's going to keep those folders organized. So you don't need to worry about any of the back work, okay? Google Classroom is doing it for you. They're doing the organizing. All you have to do is assign, and that's it, okay? You don't have to go and put Johnny's paper in Johnny's folder, Susie's paper in Susie's folder. That's all being done for you in the background. And those classroom folders can be found right there in your Google Drive. All right, so having said that, let's talk a little bit about the interface of Google Classroom. So I just want to call your attention to this here. This information here is a constant, all right? So it's always going to be there no matter what you do within Classroom. You'll always see these same 4 tabs at the top. Stream, classwork, people, and grades. All right. So remember, we named this classroom Google Classroom April 29th. Well, hey, it shows up right here, Google Classroom April 29th. So that's the name of your class here. Remember, I gave it the section 1. All right. So I assigned this classroom to section 1. This is a class code, and we'll be talking more about that in a bit. And right here, I'm going to just call your attention to this right here. Select theme. I strongly suggest that you change this if you have more than one section, because then it makes it really easy to be able to distinguish what classroom you're in. So I'm going to go ahead and click it. And because this is a math class, I'm going to just click on math and science, and I'll click here and select class theme. And you're going to watch before your eyes where that banner for your classroom has changed. Okay, so now it's more reflective of a math class. All right, anybody have questions so far? Just pop them in the chat. I also want to talk about a few things, which is this right here. You see where it says upcoming, no work due soon? What this is a running tally for the students and for you of all the assignments that you have given your students. So if they have work that's due on the student side, they will see it in the upcoming box, okay? And before I go on any further, I'm gonna jump back over to my PowerPoint or Google slide deck, and we'll talk more about the interface and everything with Google Classroom. All right, so let's talk about, we talked about how to create a class, right? Now we're going to talk about what the students are going to do to join your class. So 2 ways to join, all right? 2 ways for the students to join. And one of those ways is you can go to the People tab. Remember I told you there's a constant right here, Stream, Classwork, People, Grades. You would go to that constant, go to People, and then start typing in the names of students, okay? And when you do that, it's going to automatically populate because those students are in our Active Directory, all right? So you don't have to go try to find their email and put it in a box. All you need to do is type in their name and the students will pop up, okay? And then you invite the students via email to join your class, okay? They'll get a link to click on, and then they can go directly into signing on to Google and joining your class. Now, what happens if they don't know their user information to sign into Google? There is a way for you to get that information, and that way is to go to your class in JCampus, and that information can be found right there in your class. Their usernames, email addresses, and their passwords. Okay, so that's where that information can be found. All right, next, the second way to have students join a class or your class is that you can go to the class code. Remember when we were looking at the interface, I said that I would talk about that more in detail. So I'm about to go right on over and show you what that looks like. But in any event, students can go to Google Classroom and type in the code for your classroom, and that will get them there also. That's probably the easiest way to get them into your classroom, is just to give them the code and say, sign into your Google account and put in this, click on the plus sign, click on join a class, and type in the code that you were given. All right, so I'm gonna hop down one, and then we'll go and I'll show you where that class code is in Google Classroom. But again, just to reiterate, students using the classroom code to join will go to Google Classroom, click on the plus sign in the right-hand corner, just where you clicked in to create the class. They'll do the same thing, but this time they'll say join class, and then they'll type in the classroom code and click join, all right? So let's go back to our classroom that I just created. All right, so hopefully all of you are seeing our classroom here. Remember we talked about class code. Where do I find the class code? Right under the section number. Or if you don't have a section number, it'll be right under the title of the class. So if I click on the little box here, it's going to expand it and make it larger. So let's just say you were in school and you did have students in your classroom and you wanted them to join that day. Let's say they all have devices in front of them and they're signed in to their Google account. Rather than you typing all their names in, you could just pop this up on the whiteboard and say, okay, guys, sign into your Google account, click on join a class, and put in this class code. Boom, they're in. Okay, so let's just say right now we need to add them under the people tab. So I'm going to discuss the people tab. Remember, that's one of our constants. Oh, which, by the way, you can invite teachers as well. So I'm going to invite a co-teacher here. So let's say you have a team teacher. Let's say I want Colby Baptiste, because I see that he's in here. I want him to co-teach with me. So I could just start typing in his name and click invite. So then he will become a co-teacher once he accepts that invitation through email. Or if I wanted to have students, I could click on Courtney. And here we go. I have Courtney that I'm inviting. Let me look down my list. I have, if you don't mind, please mute your
you want to look at it first?
Hold on. All right, so I'm just adding a few people here. I'm going to ask, if I add you, that you please check your email and go in and, go in and accept that invitation. So if I add you as a student, please go in and accept that invitation. So I'm just kind of going down my list here and looking at some of the people that are in the class right now. And that is how I'm getting my, my people. So as you can see, it's very, very easy to add students, okay? And so I know these are teachers, but I could do the same thing with students and they would populate. I just don't know any student right off the bat that I could put in here, nor do I want to invite them to this. So, all right, Courtney, it may take a little bit. I didn't hit invite yet, but here we go. Now you should have it. So once I invite you, you will come up as a grayed out student, but once you accept that invite, you will automatically be illuminated, so to speak. So you'll no longer be kind of grayed out. Anybody have any questions about adding students? So again, 2 ways to add students. You can add them via the code that is on your main classroom banner right here, or you can go to the people tab and add them that way. Hey, all right, thank you, Colby. Awesome. All right, so I'm glad that Colby typed that in, because that brings me to our stream. So whenever you log in to Google Classroom and you create a class, the first page or landing page that you're going to come to is called the stream. And let me go over to my presentation so I can explain a little more about stream. All right, so let's talk about the stream. Well, the stream is where you will post announcements. I put assignments, but I don't know. I don't think I'm going to keep this here because I'd rather not utilize stream for assignments. I rather use it for announcements. So I'm going to just ding that off, you know. But when you create a new announcement, you can save it as a draft. You can do all kind of things with that, and I'll show you that. But we'll go through all of that when we go to the live site. But basically, stream is to make announcements. So this is kind of a snapshot of what you see when you go to the stream. All right. The stream within Google Classroom really gives you a place where you can post your announcements, and unlike a website with one-way communication, students can comment back to you, all right, or to that announcement, and they can even comment back to one another. But those are all features that can also be turned off. So if you don't want the students to be able to communicate on the stream, you can definitely adjust the settings that will not allow them to do so. But you can also attach things to an announcement. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first I want to talk about ways to use the stream. All right. So a place to make announcements to your class. It's also a place for students to make announcements to each other, like kudos, questions, concerns, updates. Remember, that's only if you allow them to do so. It could be a ticket out the door or a warm-up. It can be a virtual classroom discussion. Let's just say you want to discuss something. So you throw something up there and you allow the kids to have discussion about it with you. It could be a quick writing prompt, or you can use the stream to actually share links or documents with your students. So all of those things are ways to use the announcement feature in stream. How do you make an announcement in stream? Well, you would definitely click on the stream tab if you're not there, but remember, I told you the stream tab is the default. So when you open Classroom, that is where you're going to land. That's your landing page. You're going to type in your announcement into the top box, and then you can add attachments, files from your drive, YouTube links, or links from other sites. And again, I'm just going over this to show you and tell you, or actually tell you all the things that can be done within the stream, but I'm going to show you in just a moment. Then once you're done giving them something, attaching something to their announcement, then you would click the class that you want to post the announcement to. Remember, that's where I talked about having multiple sections and keeping those separate. Hey, let's say you want to make an announcement to your homeroom class, who you have for ELA Section 1, but not for your ELA Section 2 class. Well, that's where you can distinguish between those classes. That's why you don't want to put all those kiddos in the same class. You can also post the same announcement to multiple classes at one time. Remember, I talked about that. There's no reason not to separate them because it's too easy to assign to multiple classes at one time. And then you would just simply click post, schedule for later, or draft. So we are not going to go to the Classwork tab yet. We are going to work on the live classroom. All right, so remember I talked about the stream. Notice that we are in the stream right now. It says share something with your class. All right, so I want to point your attention to a couple of things. Number one, it says for. So if you arrow down and you have several classes that you want to make this announcement to, you would just start clicking off the classes that you want to make this announcement to. All right, so you check the classes that you want to make the announcement to. All right, you can even, if you have one class selected, let's say you just have one class that you selected. So, and that is your Google class. Remember, it's always going to be defaulted to the classroom that you're working in, but you can definitely assign to others or announce to other classrooms as well. But if you're in that one classroom that you're working in, you can also arrow down and say, okay, well, I don't want this student to get this announcement. I only want this student to get it. I tell you, this is a really, really great way to differentiate instruction or to make modifications to students' announcements or assignments or anything. And you don't even have to, I mean, it's just done with such ease. You know, you don't have to worry about another student seeing that, hey, Sally's getting a different assignment than us, or Sally didn't get the same announcement as us, because no one will ever know what announcement Sally got, and no one will ever know what assignment Sally got, all right, except for Sally. So this is just a great way to share information with your students, assignments with your students, announcements with your students, and really tailor those announcements to be specific to a certain class or even a certain student. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and make an announcement. Hey guys, please watch the video, Lord, and let's discuss fractions. Tell me what you notice about the fractions in this video. All right, so I'm talking about a video, right? All right, so, and I'm saying that I just want to have a discussion with the students. All right, so I referenced a video, but where do I get that video? Well, this is something that I absolutely love about Google Classroom. So if you click on this little add button, you can do several things. You can go and find a document that you have created in your Google Drive, and you can add that there. So I'm going to first walk you through that. Okay, this really has nothing to do with fraction. I'll see if I have something in here that's labeled fractions. Yeah, I do. All right, so I have a little fractions visual. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and it's going to pop that PDF right into here. All right, and you can see this is what it looks like. All right, that's the PDF. So just again, that's by going to Google Drive and finding a document that I had already had in my Google Drive. How do you get documents in Google Drive? All you have to do is drag them from your computer and drop them right into Google Drive. All right, and that's definitely another whole different class. So, you know, I'll have to talk about that more on it at another class, specifically for Google Drive, but practice it. It's really easy. All right, you can also upload a document. If you know that there's a document on your computer that you want the students to have access to, you can definitely click on the upload button and click on select files from your device and go and find a file that's in your device on your computer or whatnot. So I could just go to my downloads button and just grab really any file that's here. I could grab it and say, okay, this is what I want them to see. And I would just grab that file. And then you can hit upload and it'll upload it there. All right. Same with my drive. It might be a file that's in your drive or in shared drive or in stored. So stored simply means that you have a document that you want to use often, and so you will right click on that document or that folder and store it, so that anytime you go to the stored tab, it'll have it there for you. All right. Recent, of course, is any document that you recently opened. So my advice to you is, if you have a document in Google Drive that you want to use, just go and open it up, and then it'll appear in your recent, so you don't have to go searching for it. All right, so back to that add button, right? So we talked about how to add from Google Drive. Now we're going to talk about adding a link. Okay, so let's say I want them to go out to, let's see, type in a math site, somebody into the chat. Let's see, www.ixl.com. All right, and then click on add the link, and boom. So now you've directed them to a math site. All right, so you can add links in your announcements, you can add files in your announcements. Again, adding a file is very similar to adding from Google Drive, so I'm not going to really go over that. All you do is click on upload and you upload your file there. But this is the one right here. This is the one I want to call your attention to, because remember, I said, hey guys, please watch the video and let's discuss fractions. All right, so I'm going to click on YouTube and I'm going to do a video search for fractions. All right, and I'll hit enter and boom. Here we go. So here are all the videos that you can find with fractions, all right? So anyway, I'm going to just say, let's learn fractions, understanding math for kids. And I'm going to click on that and click add. So right now, I'm asking them to watch the video and then tell me what they think, all right? I'm going to go ahead and take this off, just to show you that you can remove and add anytime you want, anything you want, at any time you want, I should say. Once you're done, you have another option there. You could post right then and there, or you could schedule it. Let's say that I'm doing my classroom for the whole entire week on the weekend, but I don't want these kids to have access to this material until a certain date. So I can say, okay, well, you know, I'm assigning this video, but I really don't want them to watch it until Monday. So then I would just hit schedule, click on the calendar, schedule it. Let's say I wanted them to watch it on Monday, May 4th at 8 a.m. That's when I wanted to become available. So I would just hit schedule and they would have it Monday at 8 a.m. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hit post. And once I do so, you're going to see that the announcement is right here. Hey. So there are a few things you can do with announcements. You can edit those announcements at any time. You can delete those announcements, or you can copy the link to those announcements. So anything that you want to do relative to your announcements, you can do it there. If you have altered your settings to where the students can be part of the discussion, then they will be able to comment and tell you what they noticed about that video and fractions. All right, so I've said a mouthful. I talked about the stream and everything in the stream. So right this moment, what I'm going to do is pause, and I see that I have a question. I've added my students through the email invite, and several have told me on Remind that they didn't receive the email. Okay, so what I would say to you is, if you have those email addresses of those students, then what I would do is create an email and put the students in that email and copy this code right here, this class code. And so instead of going through Classroom, see, I'm just clicking and copy. Instead of going through Classroom, you open up your email and you begin typing in your students' emails. I mean, you might have it in an Excel spreadsheet that you could just copy all the emails and paste them in there. But or you could just simply say, hey, if you want to bypass email altogether, you could say through Remind 101. You mentioned that you're using Remind 101. So I would say, okay, boys and girls, this is what you need to do. Go to your Google account and sign in. Go to Classroom. And again, they have all these instructions on my instructional technology page. So you can direct the parents in your Remind 101 message to that website. You can put the class code in your Remind 101. You could tell them that they need to click on the plus sign and click join class and then type in that code. So that would bypass email altogether. Okay, another question, how can I tell whether the link actually works after I upload it? All right, so a hyperlink is just that, a hyperlink. You're linking out to a website. If I click on this hyperlink, it'll go directly to IXL. So it's going there for you, all right? So one way to test it is just simply click on the link that you've posted in the announcements and it will go right there for you. If it didn't, it means that the link is a broken link. You probably typed in the wrong web address. can you go over again how to send a message to all sections at one time? Yes, absolutely. All right, so let's say I have an announcement and I want all sections to get that announcement. Where it says 4, I would just click the down arrow and begin selecting all my classes that I want to send that announcement to. So it's as easy as that. And as you can see, it says for 8 classes. So I've selected 8 classes. If I would type in a message right here and say post, it's going to go to all 8 of those classes. So makes it really, really, really easy. No, I'm glad you asked that question. I think there's a lot of people that are doing that. That is not necessary and gives you a lot of extra work. All you need to do is simply type in your announcement, arrow down, and ding off the classes that you want to have that announcement. Is there a way to preview the videos before posting? Absolutely. So I would go to YouTube first. All right. Oh, but I mean, honestly, if you want to just type in, like just go and click on the video, as you can see,
understanding fractions can be easy.
It's going to just pull up the video. So you can go to, you can do it that way before you assign it. Remember, they have a draft. You don't have to assign this straight away. You can watch that video and then say post, and then post that. I'm gonna just type something in so it gives me the option. You could schedule it, or you could save it as a draft until you have a moment to watch that video and make sure that that is indeed what you want to assign to your students, or give your students access to. Another way to do that is you can go to YouTube ahead of time. If there's YouTube videos that you know that you want to share with your students, what you can do is you can actually have, you can go ahead of time to YouTube. You can click on the, you know how they have a URL of the video in YouTube? You can right click on the YouTube video and copy the URL. If you go to add and link, you can paste that link right here and it'll add the YouTube video just the same. It'll also, you can also do this. If you have the name of the video that you want and you go to YouTube, you can just type in the name of that particular video that you watched ahead of time. You can type that in there, or if you have the URL, again, by watching the video, you right click and copy URL, you can paste it right here. So yes, I would definitely advise that you check these videos out before just blindly assigning them. And that's a great question. All right, so moving right along. Does anybody have any questions before I move on to the Classwork tab? All righty. So here we go, on to Classwork. All right, so in Classwork, that is the second tab in our constant. All right, remember we talked about the stream, and now we're here at the Classwork tab. I think I have one more question. Will the video include ads that the students would have to skip? You know, I'm not really certain about that, Vanessa. I don't know. That's a good question. I think if I don't know this for certain, but I think there's a place, well, I know there's a place that you have to approve the video. So it would be wise for you to go watch the video. Sometimes it'll say this video is not approved. See, on mine's wide open. So, you know, I have access to all these videos. You guys, when you assign a video, you're going to have to first approve that video. Maybe in that approval process, it will take those ads out, but I don't know that for certain. But you definitely want to go and watch the video ahead of time, and then you want to go down and approve the video. All right, and that just, all you have to do is just click a button that says approve the video once you've watched it, and then you'll be able to assign it to your students. All right, so in the Classwork tab, the Classwork is really where you go to assign work to your students, all right? That is where you're going to create assignments, give them questions, assign quizzes, all those good things right there in the Classwork tab. And so moving right along, whenever you go to the Classwork tab and you click to create an assignment, there's many options, but don't even be worried about the level of complication that this poses, because it's very, very user-friendly, very easy. It's going to say create, as you can see here, with a plus sign. Once you click on that create button, and again, I'm going over this, but I will definitely show you as well. So in this case, I have created an assignment. I clicked on create and then assignment. So you can see on the right, the assignment box popped up, all right? I'm going to walk you through that thoroughly, all right? But I want to call your attention to a few other things. In the list, you have the option to create an assignment, a quiz assignment, a question, just give them material to look at, reuse a post, so that if you've had a post that you used already and you want to reuse that post, you can do it there, all right? And then topic. So I want to stop here and talk a little bit about topic, all right? Why should you create a topic? Well, I strongly suggest that you create a topic like Unit 4 or Unit 3, because each assignment that you create, if you don't have a topic, will just kind of be floating out there. You want to organize it in a way that it makes sense to you. So if it's chapters or units, you know, you want to make those topics, all right? And then you want to assign work underneath those topics, all right? So, and I'll talk more about that definitely when we go to the live site. But what is an assignment and how does that look in Google Classroom? Well, using Google Docs, you no longer need to collect and pass out paper. Remember, I told you that. If you use a Google Doc, so if the student is given an assignment on a Google Doc that you've created, or just simply a doc that doesn't have anything on it, just a blank sheet of paper, you can select to make a copy for each student, and then it becomes their document, all right? And they have the ability to type on that document and then turn that document into you. And again, I'm going to show you all this. I just feel like I need to explain it first. Google Classroom eliminates sharing issues by placing the document in a teacher and the student's Google Drive immediately. So as soon as you create an assignment and you give that assignment to the students, it's not only placing a folder in your Google Drive for that student and that assignment, it is creating a folder on the student's Google Drive for that assignment, all right? So just to let you know about that, students simply need, when they create an assignment, after they create an assignment, all they have to do is press the turn in button within Google Classroom to let the teacher know that they are ready to have their work assessed, all right? So, remember we talked about all these attachment options in the announcement stream, or the stream page? Well, you're going to have access to those same attachment options in the assignment or classwork tab. So they call it classwork. Within classwork, you make assignments. And again, I'm going to show you all this. So, but you have all the same. You can attach a document, attach a link, attach a YouTube video, all those things. So let's talk about some ideas for using assignments. You can use assignments to create collaborative group work, individual writing assignments, note-taking templates, tests and quizzes, test prep, project-based learning. Really, the options are endless, okay? So it's just, you know, you're only limited by your imagination, and not even by that, because if you go out on the web, they have a ton of resources that can show you what you can do with Google Classroom. And hopefully I can provide you some insight here too. So when attaching directly from Google Drive, you would click on the Drive icon and then search for the document in the window that pops up and click Add. So having said that, let me go over to the live site. So you can see it's pink right here. I just want to call your attention to that too. So that little folder here takes on the color of your title banner. So again, we've talked about stream and making announcements. Now we're going to go over to the Classwork tab. So I'm going to go ahead and click create. I'm going to create an assignment. All right. I want you to look at this box. All right. So when I have create an assignment, as you can see, you're going to give your assignment a title. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call this fractions. Please watch the video, the attached. All right, let's just say that, and this is for time's sake, I could get creative, but just for the sake of time, I'm going to say watch the video and create the complete the worksheet on fractions. All right, so I talked about a video. Remember, again, you can go out to YouTube, you can type in fractions. Let's say there's another video that goes into detail or more detail about fractions. Let's say I'll add that video. Students would watch the video. Now let's say that I want to create a worksheet on fractions. All right, so I could do that many different ways. I could create a doc, a Google Doc. I could create a slide. A slide is like a presentation. All right, so let me do slide. Let me create a slide. So let's say I'm creating a slideshow, okay? And then you could already have something that you want to assign them to do, all right? You don't have to create it on the fly. You could have it done before, but just for the purposes of showing you guys, I'm going to go ahead and put, I'm going to do this. All right, so I'm going to grab a little fraction here, and I'm going to insert a text box and write the fraction beneath the given shape. All right, so I'm telling them that I want them to write the fraction beneath the given shape, right? Okay, so I might just say, okay, well, I'm going to put a little text box here so it will give them the opportunity to do that. I know it goes away when I click away, but it should be there when I'm done. Okay, so I want to let's say I want to do this, and I'm going to put some lines here. All right, so I'm going to draw a line here and grab another one, or I could just copy paste, right? That would make life easier. But I mean, like I'm going and doing this, you don't really have to. I'm going to right click copy, and then I'm going to just hit paste, and get a whole bunch of lines, paste. I know they're uneven just because I'm moving so quickly. Paste. And so, and they're not even either, but you know, who's watching, right? So, I'm going to grab a text box and list it here. All right, so let's say that this is my worksheet and this is telling the students what to do. I'm going to name this. I know this is a presentation, so you're like, why is she giving a presentation? But you know what? Google Slides make great worksheets too. So I'm going to say fraction sheet. Worksheet. Okay, so that's what I'm calling this, right? And I'm going to go right on back over here. And I know it says Untitled Presentation, but it's not. Don't concern yourself about that. The fact that it's not renaming it. It is what it says it is. Okay, so there's some things that I want to call your attention to right here. All right, so this will determine how you want this assignment executed. All right, so notice that the default is students can view file. Well, if you're giving them an assignment and you're wanting them to do something on that assignment, you definitely would not use students can view file. All right, you wouldn't do that because all they could do is look at it. They can't do any work on it. So I'm going to arrow down. If I say students can edit file, I would only use that option if it's a group work assignment. So let's say that I'm having them create the fractions together. So each student might have a slide. I would put that in the description. Hey guys, each student has a slide, or create your own slide and then, you know, put 5 fractions on that slide, something like that. So that the students can edit file, that is for a group assignment. That's when you want them to work collaboratively on an assignment that you're giving. Now, excuse me, this is what I want to call your attention to. Remember I talked about that passing out of paper? This is what you would want to select if you are wanting each student to do that assignment individually. You are saying make a copy for each student, right? I want each student to have a copy. Now, keep in mind, when I do that, when I select this, each student will have a copy and it will be in their drive, okay? They'll also have an option once I post this to not only complete the assignment, but to turn that assignment in for you to grade it. All right? So here we go. There's some other options here that you need to consider. Remember I told you, if you have several sections, this is where you ding them off. So let's say I have math section 1 and section 2, but section 3 I didn't get to discuss this with them yet, so I'm not going to assign it to them. I'm just going to assign to section 1 and section 2. All right, so as you can see, I have 3 classes there. This right here is the point value that you want to give to this assignment. Now, because we're all at home right now and we have optional online learning or continued learning resources, we would want to arrow down and click ungraded. But if you are conducting an online class or even Google Classroom while your students are in session, or if we should have to go to a full-out distance learning approach where the students would be graded, then this is where you would adjust the point value here. Okay, so let's say I want this to be worth 50 points, all right? So there you go. So you must select the class. No, you don't have to select the class because it's automatically, the one that you're working in is automatically selected for you. That's a great question. Only if you want to add additional classrooms you know, the assignment to additional classrooms, do you need to go down and select a class, another class, okay? So it's automatically defaulted to the classroom that you're in. That assignment will automatically go to the classroom that you're in unless you add additional classes to it. All right, so then you have the ability to give a due date right here. Let's say that I'm not wanting to assign this until May 30th, May 4th or whatnot, then I would go arrow here and select that. I'm not going to select a due date. I'm going to just say today. I want it done today. All right, so I just click on today's date. This is what I talked about when I talked about topic. All right, let's say that fractions is in, let's say that fractions is a topic in, or an assignment in chapter 4, all right? So I would name it, I would give that topic a name of chapter 4, all right? And then once you're done with that, they have a couple of other options that I'll go over. One is that you have the option to have a rubric attached. So let's say that you have a collaborative group assignment or even a project-based learning assignment, then you would want to click rubric and then either create a rubric or use a rubric from Google Sheets, all right? So that's an Excel document you could create it in, or you just create it right here. All right, so again, you have the ability to create a rubric or to use one that you already have in Google Sheets. And then if you are an English teacher and you want to make sure that the work that they're turning in is original work and not taken off the internet and copied, then you can just click here to get originality reports, all right? So once I'm done with all this, and I know it seems like a lot, but it's really not. It's a process that goes really, really quickly. And before I move on, well, let me just go ahead and show you. Right here, you can either assign it right then by clicking on assign, or you can save it as a draft, or you can just scrap it all together, whatever you choose to do. But I'm going to go ahead and say assign. All right, so I've assigned my students each a copy of that untitled presentation, which is really what we know as to be fractions. Okay, so it's giving, you can see it's working in the background. Google Classroom is saying assigning, all right? So it's assigning, it's creating everything that it needs to create for your students. So really, now it pops right back into the Classwork tab, as you can see where it says all topics. That topic is under chapter 4. So we see the topic again right here. We see the work right here. This is the assignment. And the students now have that assignment assigned to them. And it also has a due date of today. All right. If we go to the stream, it's under upcoming, you'll see due today fractions. So it's telling the students right on the landing page that they have an assignment that's due. All right, and that assignment is called fractions. All right, so I'm going to go through another assignment, and this assignment is really a quiz assignment, just because I want to show you how what the possibilities are. It doesn't, I'm not going to really take a whole lot of time on that, but I do want to show you how wonderful Classroom integrates with Google Forms and allows you to assess your students right within Classroom and very easily. So right here, I'm going to, instead of clicking on just assignment, I'm going to click on quiz assignment, all right? And again, question is just if you want to pose them each a question, and material is just that if you want to give them material. And we talked about topic, that's right here. Oops, sorry guys. Hold on 1 second. All right, so I'm going to go to quiz assignment. And I don't know if you're looking this way, but I'm going to just hover over this. It's called blank quiz. What Google Classroom has done is it has created a quiz for you in Google Forms, okay? So all you have to do is type in fractions. I'm not going to put the instructions, but you know how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click on this blank quiz, and I'm going to create a quiz really on the fly. Can you upload a quiz that's already been done? Absolutely. But I'm going to go ahead and name this quiz. All right. All right, so it's a quiz. How do we know that it's a quiz? Because it asks for the answer. It gives you an option to put an answer key to ding off the things that are answers, possible answers. Okay, I definitely want to make this required. I'm going to show you something really cute and fun and easy. All right, identify in this picture. All right, so I talked about a picture, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and click on the picture. I'm gonna click on Google image search, okay? Because I just wanna search Google. I don't have time to go play around looking for, you know, images all over my computer. So I'm gonna go through that again just to show you. I'm gonna click on this little image here, Google image search, and I'm going to type in 1/4, and let's see. Okay, so I have this right here. That's a picture that I can use, so I'm going to just insert that. Okay, identify the fraction in the picture. I'm going to go ahead and put 1/2, 1/3. And this is really basic, but just goes to show you, you know, how this looks. 1. All right, so I've got my little picture here. Remember, it's a multiple choice option. I'm going to go ahead and go to the answer key because I want to tell it the correct answer. And I'm going to say, okay, this is 1/4, right? So I don't want to add answer feedback, although I could if it was a practice test, but I do want to point your attention to this. At some point in the assignment, you know, they ask you for points, right? How many points do you want to assign? Okay, so I'm going to say that this is worth 10 points. All of the points for the questions have to add up to the amount that you've amount of points that you said the quiz was worth. Okay, so, and I'll discuss more about that, but okay, so I said 10 points, right? Okay, so let's create another question. So I'm gonna just add question. This picture shows 1/8. All right, and I'm gonna make it, let's see, I'm gonna make it a true or false. So I'm gonna put true here, and you can even, it'll tell you, hey, you can put false, and you can just click on it. All right, and so I'm gonna go out and add an image. Remember, I need to add an image. I'm gonna go to Google search and type in 1/8. All right, and let's see if I can find 1/8. I'm just typing in all kind of stuff, but I mean, of course you would want to probably do this, you know, ahead of time. Let me see if I take that fraction off and see if I can get somewhere that way. I don't see what I'm looking for. You can have that drawn ahead of time if you want. Let me just type in fraction and see if I can find that. I probably should have done something a lot easier, like 1/2 or something, you know? I can even go down and change it if I wanted to. So I'm going to change it to 1/6. Okay, this has it on there, but let's just say it doesn't. All right. So you can see that there. Of course, you would want to find something without the answer on there. And I'll just change this to 1/6. And then true or false, I want to go and tell it the right answer and change the points. Okay, so I'm going to make this worth 10 points as well. I'm going to say done. Hey, guess what? We have now a quiz created, and Google Classroom will grade that quiz for you once the kids turn it in. So let's go to not responses. Let's go to settings. I don't want to collect their email address. If I wanted to, I could restrict it to the users of the St. Landry Parish School Board. I could limit one response, but that's all general. Basically, Google Classroom has made this a quiz for you because you said that you wanted an assigned quiz. Don't turn this on because if the student is not on a Chromebook that is managed, it will not allow them to take the test. I don't like to give them the grade immediately after the submission. I don't think you would either, probably. And then you could do this later after manual review. That doesn't mean you're grading the test. It just means that you're not giving them the test so that they could have a meltdown right then and there. All right, you're going to let them have a meltdown at a later date. All right, so respondents can see missed questions, correct answers. I don't want them to see any of this, right? And then I'm going to just hit save. All right, so now we have a quiz. It's worth 20 points, as I can see here. I'm going to go right back into my classroom, the pink tab here, and I'm going to continue to complete the rest of the information that they asked for. All right, so this says grade importing. This tells me that Classroom can import grades for assignments. So it's grading it and it's importing that into the grade book, and we'll talk about that tab in a minute. And you know what? Oh, no, never mind. I thought I hadn't pressed the record button, but I did. All right, so right here, again, you can assign it to whatever class you want. To whatever students you want if you're just in one class. So let's say that you have that one student that needs modifications. So you're going to slightly alter that quiz and assign it just to that student. You can do that as well. Remember, I told you that I only made that quiz worth 20 points. So we definitely want to adjust this, 10 points each. So I'm going to adjust the points here. I'm not going to have a due date because I'm just going to let them take it whenever. I'm going to put a topic here. It's under chapter 4. It's fractions. Remember, chapter 4 is all about fractions. Not really, but for all intensive purposes of this training, they are. So I'm going to arrow down and select chapter 4. It's not a writing assignment, so I don't need to click this, and I don't need a rubric for this either. So what am I going to do now? Well, I either assign the quiz right now, or I schedule the quiz, all right? Or I save it as a draft because I have other things that I want to add to that quiz. So either way, you can do any and all of the above, any or all of the above, whatever, and then hit assign. Now, as you can see, that we have two things here. We have a assignment on fractions, and when I just click on this little assignment, it shows me which one it is, and we have a quiz on fractions. All right, so assignment on fractions, and remember I told you not to worry about that untitled worksheet because eventually it's going to title it for you. So those of my students who are in this class, if you don't mind, please go to the classroom if you can, the Google Classroom that you just became a part of, and take that quiz. All right, one of you Courtney, get them all right. Tabitha, miss one, please. All right, so there's a reason I'm doing this, by the way. And so anyway, I just want to point out to you that, again, this is the People tab. We've already established what goes on in that tab here, all right? But we didn't talk about was this. If at any time you want to email a certain student, all you have to do is click on the 3 dots and click on email student, and you can send that student an email straight away. Before I move on to grades, does anybody have a question? We're just at 3:17, 3:20, so we have a few minutes left and I'm almost done. So if you have any questions, chat those into the chat box or type those into the chat box, and if not, I'll continue on. All right, so the next tab I'm going to go to is the grades tab. All right, remember, I have 2 students that are in my class. That's Courtney and Tabitha, right? They are taking that, I have 2 assignments. An assignment here that's out of 20 points, and that's that quiz, remember? And then an assignment that's out of 50 points. Remember that assignment, right? So once they take these quizzes, it's going to show up in these tabs. It's also going to give you a class average. If you have a lot of students, you're going to pretty soon get a good class average there of what these students are doing on the assignments that you're giving them. There's several things that you can do. Like, let's say that I want to go to Courtney and I want to see that what she turned in. All right, so you can go to turned in, and I see that she doesn't have anything turned in, and she doesn't have anything missing either because I didn't give a date. But if I did give a date, you would see it there. All right, and so then I'm going to back out of Courtney's grades or assignments in the grade book, and so you can see I backed out of her assignments. I can see that she turned this in, so I'm knowing that this is the quiz that I gave her. Okay, so I could then view the details of that. All right, let's look at the details of this assignment. So Courtney, I have the option, she did the 20 out of 20. So why isn't it not grading? I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's go back. She's finished. She's telling me, oh, and she said she turned it in. All right. So I see that I have 2 turned in, right? I don't want to go to the worksheet. Hold on here. Oh, here we go. I want to import those grades. Are you sure you want to import the grades? Yes, import them. All right, so it's importing my grades. I can see that Courtney took this test and she got a 20 out of 20. And Tabitha took the test and she got a 0 out of 20. All right, so at this point, I have this option. I can return the grade to Tabitha and say, here's your grade. Now, remember I said that I didn't want to give them their grade straight away. I wanted to just turn it in after to them, turn it back in to them. So again, at any time you can return the assignment to the student where they would be able to see their grades, okay? You can also click on all of them and return them all at the same time. So let's say I imported the grades, they came on in, and now I want to return everybody's grade to them. So I can just do this and hit return. I can even make a private comment if I wanted to, and then hit return. And so now they have their assignments. It says graded now, and so you can see that you have 0 turned in, 0 assigned, and 2 graded right here. Anybody have any questions? Once you do that, you can actually even go to the form itself, Tabitha's form, and see what she selected. So you can see where she went wrong. Like I can go back and say, hey, Tabitha, I noticed that you're having issues. You thought that, tell me why you thought that this was one whole rather than what, or what do you think, let's look at this. You have 3 green parts and 1 orange part. What does that tell you that this fraction is representing. Okay, so, and then you can look at this and, you know, so you can get an idea of where they went wrong, and so can they. All right, so let's see. I probably have questions on this. Top right under settings. Oh, where did you, oh, yes. Okay, thank you, yes. So I just had to move around my little participants tab. I wasn't seeing it, but after someone turns in an assignment, it's going to give you the option to, in the top right, import their grades if it's a quiz, all right? So let me just pause for a moment and show you something. You can always go back. Like right now, I'm actually in this grade book here and I'm looking at my students, but I can also always sort my students here. That's a little thing that you can do. I also have like a little wheel here, and so that's my setting wheel, and that allows you to copy all the grades to a Google Sheet or download the grades in a CSV file, or download these particular grades in a CSV. So that is some options that you have. So let's see, how do I go back to my classroom? So let me just tell you, all you have to do when you need to get back into your classroom is just simply click on the classroom title and section, or you can click on this hamburger menu and you'll see all of your classrooms and you can go there. You can go to the classroom there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And as you can see, there they are. Now, remember, in my stream, I'm seeing that all these things that occurred, all right? So everything that has been going on, I'm seeing in my stream. Where is the 50-point assignment? Did you get that assignment, Courtney? I don't know that I even assigned that to you guys. I'm not sure that I went through with the assigning. I know that I assigned it, but I'm not sure if I assigned it to you. Yes, I can definitely discuss any mistakes through Classroom. So as soon as we conclude with this presentation, I'll stay on the line for anybody that needs assistance. All right, so I just want to call your attention to a few other things before we end this training. And one of those is this setting wheel. Again, this settings wheel, and I'm going to back out of it so you can see it's at the top right next to the waffle menu in Classroom, whether you're in the Stream tab, the Classwork tab, the People tab, or the Grades tab. You will see this here. Now, if you click on it, these are your class details, and you can make some adjustments to your classroom and who sees what and what the students have access to and all of that. You can do all of that right here within this particular screen. So class details, let's say I needed to change the name of my class. I could do that. I could add my class description here or change it. I can change my subject if I wanted to, and they even have options like consumer math, foundations in mathematics or whatnot. Class code, I can choose to display the class code, copy it, reset it, disable the class code. So if you're ever having any trouble with your class code, you want to go into those settings and make sure that your class code is not disabled. All right. Your stream, this is very important. Younger students tend to be fine, or you know, with an allowance to comment in the stream. It's usually when you get into middle school that you probably want to turn this off. Students can post and comment in the stream. Remember, the stream is for announcements. So, I mean, you know, it's really up to you. Maybe some students, maybe you're teaching middle school students that are really responsible, and not that all of them aren't, but that's when they tend to kind of start playing around and stuff. So, you know, that's completely up to you. You might want to try it and then midstream decide, hey, this is not working out. They're making inappropriate comments or whatnot, even though you can hold their feet to the fire because you know exactly who's making the comments and what they're saying. You still, it still doesn't mean they're not going to do it. So again, you have the option to choose one of these. Students can post and comment. Students can only comment. Only teachers can post and comment. So if you want to be real restrictive, this is the choice you would make. If you want to be not restrictive at all, you would select this one. And if you're somewhere in the middle of the road, you want to select this. All right, so show deleted items. You can always ding this to show any items that were deleted. And again, only teachers can view deleted items, so you don't have to worry about that. This is just some information about guardian summaries. That's going to be up to you to go and check this out, but it kind of gives you an email, kind of gives you some information about, you know, the weekly summaries. So that's kind of a good thing. Like, you know, it basically tells them, hey, this is what it's going to look like for the week in your child's classroom. I strongly suggest doing this if you're trying to meet with your students virtually. If you generate a Meet link, it's going to turn that on for you. And when you go back to the stream, which I'll show you, it's going to have your Meet URL right there on the screen. That way you can meet with students right within Google Classroom. Yeah, I can go back. Unblock the code. All right, so class code right here. You can display it, you can copy it, you can reset it, or you can disable it. All right, so you want to make sure that it's not disabled, your code. All right, if it's disabled, you're going to have an issue. All right, now let's go down to calculating grades. And let's see if I can pull this out. All right, so overall grade calculation. There's some options here. You can have total points or weighted by category. So just like you would do in a normal grade book, you have that option afforded to you. And you can also add grade categories, which I'm not going to go over right now just because, you know, this is a basic classroom course. Also, show overall grade to students. You can choose to do that as well. All right, so if you click down, you would do total points and then show overall grade to students. When you're grading, they would be able to have access to that. All right. Anybody else have anything? Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Last class, I turned off the recording before the questions, just because I didn't want the recording to go on for so long. And I regretted it afterwards because they had some really, really good questions. And so I'm going to leave the recording on and I'll entertain any questions that you have. So if you don't have any questions, that concludes the class. If you do, and look, this is asking if I want to discard the changes that I made, and I'm going to just say yes, I'm going to discard them. But anyway, if you do have questions, go ahead and stay with me and feel free to unmute your microphone and ask those questions. Someone says, how do I delete all my classes if I'm moving to a new school and new grade level? Okay, that's a great question. You can actually archive your classes, okay? So if I'm in a class, I can go down to settings. I think this is where you manage, let me see. Submissions, I'm trying to, no, these are more settings. No. If you want a certificate, just send me an email. I just have a lot going on right now, so I won't be able to do that today, but I will eventually get to it. Yes. Okay, so let me go right back along. I was in the wrong place. So if you want to, the question was, how do I delete all my classes? So when you see your classes in front of you like this, you just go to the 3 dots on the class. You could move the class, you can edit the class, copy the class, or archive the class. All right, so all of those options are afforded to you. Moving the class, editing the class, copying the class, or archiving the class. Any other questions? After each year, it's probably a good thing to archive your class. So it doesn't get rid of it, but it just kind of puts it in a hiding space so that you can always go back and access that.
Trisha,
Yes.
when you were going over the quiz that I did,
Yes.
is there a way to conduct a teacher-student interview or whatever to go over that quiz through Google Classroom, or you would have to pull that student aside?
Oh no, you can do that. If you go, okay, so let me go back to the classroom. Remember I generated a link. Oh, and I discarded it. Hold on, let me show you that, okay? So I'm going to settings, and where it says meet, I want it visible to students, all right? So let's say that I wanted to meet with you, right?
Okay.
So what I could do is I could just, initiate a meeting right from within Classroom, okay?
Okay.
And then I'm going to dismiss this right here because I don't want it right now. And so I could do join now. All right. So you can see it's connecting. And then once it joins, it's still trying to get in. We have issues when we're in the main building at the central office. We have trouble trying to connect through Classroom. But anyway, it's going to have a screen that says invite. Like that's going to pop up. And just like if you would go to your regular Google Classroom, and right then you can invite the student to that meeting, okay?
Okay.
I'm not too sure. I don't think you can do that because, you know, this is something, and this is another thing, this is something that just was made available within Google Classroom, the ability to conduct a Google Meet right from within the classroom. But you know, there are other options that I didn't talk about, or actions, so I'm not sure if they've made that action available here. But okay, so you see where I have a student dinged, right? So I'm going to go to actions. I can email that student, remove that student, or mute that student. But I'm waiting. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I'm hoping that one of those actions in the near future gives you the ability to click on Classroom, you know, meet through Classroom.
Meet with students. Okay.
Yeah, but definitely you can, you know, you can definitely send them an invite and you know, say, hey, you know, we need to talk about this assignment or this quiz. Click on the Google Meet link and I'll meet you in the chat, you know, or the video chat. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
I have a
question. My presentation will be available.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so here's another question. When I made assignments, my students told me that the code was not valid. It might have been because I had not gone to the general section in Stream to get it off disabled. Well, I mean, I don't really know if that would be the case. I mean, certainly it could be the case, but typically the default is to have it enabled. All right, so I would say that your problem is more likely a problem that maybe you're in a different Google account. Maybe when you're trying to set up these classes, it's not, you're not in your slp.k12.la.us account, because that's important. You have to be in that account. Another thing is maybe you have a duplicate email, because I've had people that have taken my training that have had that very same issue. So you definitely want to make sure that you are in your slp.k12.la.us account. You want to make sure that they are logging into their Google account too. all right? Because that could pose an issue. So you want to make sure that they are logging into their SLP Google account. And that information can be obtained from going to the students' demographics in JCampus. All right, somebody else had a question, I think. If you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. If not, you can also put your question in the chat box and I'll be glad to answer that for you. I know we've gone a bit over. Again, I don't mind staying in, waiting. You know, if you have questions, I definitely want to help you work through those. But for those of you who don't have any questions, you are free to go. Thank you so much to everyone for joining me today for our Google Classroom training. And I will definitely have the presentation available to you. You're welcome. Thank you guys. Y'all have been a great group.
Sister, can you hear me?
Yes?
This is Michelle. Listen,
Hey.
I'm a learning center teacher.
Yeah.
And I do not have access to JCampus. Would that cause a problem for me to make the assignments and all that for my students, for my learning center students?
Are you talking about with thank you. Are you talking about with Google Classroom, the integration?
Yes.
You know, I really don't know, but I could try to find out for you.
Okay, because as a learning center teacher, we don't have access to JCampus. We don't have access to, you know, emails and blah, blah, blah. So I was just wondering if that would have caused a problem for me to make assignments and what have you for my learning center students.
I really don't see why it would.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to be a problem for you. All of the
Okay.
problems that we've encountered thus far, I know they have issues with Clever, but all of the known issues with invalid codes and that have either been that the teacher has 2 accounts or the students aren't signed into their St. Landry Parish Google, you know,
Okay.
Google account.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll try it and see what happens. You
Yeah,
know.
shoot me an email. That's definitely something that, you know, we don't know. So
Right.
no one ever asked that question. So if you would try it and if it works, shoot me an email and say, hey, just want to let
Okay.
you know I'm a learning center teacher and it worked for me. Or
Okay.
same if it didn't, then we can get that issue resolved. for you.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You did a great job.
You're welcome.
Very informative.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Trish,
Yes.
on adding the classes,
Yeah.
do you go back up to the waffle and would hit the classroom
Okay.
to add another one, like section 1, section 2?
Okay, so let me tell you what to do. Okay, so if I'm in my Google, like let's say I'm in this classroom right here that you're seeing, okay?
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
see this little hamburger menu? I call it a hamburger menu because it just looks like bread and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, a hamburger.
Right.
If you go up, okay, let's say you already have one class created. Is that what you're?
I want to add another one.
Okay, good. All right, so we're on the same page. So you would go up to the hamburger menu, then go to classes. Okay, so you see all of your classes here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you would go through the same thing where you click that plus sign and then
Okay.
click on create class.
Okay, just
And
create
there you
create
go.
another one.
Yep,
Okay.
that's all you have to do is create another class.
Now
So,
there was a lady that said about deleting them. Can I
Yep.
practice and just add classes and delete them?
oh, absolutely. Yep.
I
You
mean,
can-
that's
Yeah.
really the only way that I can.
and it's true. That's the best way, in my opinion. You know, I can give the information, and I think that's, you know, it's great that everybody's coming to seek the information, you know, and it does help when somebody explains it. But at the end of the day, if you don't go and kind of play around with it, then, you know, in another week, that information becomes stale to you.
Right.
So, yeah.
I tried to take notes and everything, but
So,
Yeah.
Chris,
I mean, that's the only way. I'm not too computer savvy, so
should we create classes and just archive them just to practice?
You can delete them, actually.
Okay,
You
okay.
can create and delete. So that would just be going right up to the right-hand side of that class, and then just hit archive. I don't think I'm saying delete, but I
You
don't think
did.
it gives you that option. So just delete it. Just archive it, I mean.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that's the only way I'm gonna learn is by playing.
Oh, definitely. I strongly suggest that, you know, and look, those are just going to be like in the cloud, like you're never going to have to worry about them, you know. So like if I felt like archiving, let me see, I don't have any students in this one. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and archive it, and it's going to say you and your students won't be able to make changes. You can view this class and archive classes in the classroom menu, but all class files will remain in the Google Drive. So that's great, because it really, if I had information in that class, it's still going to be in that folder. I just won't see that class anymore.
where would we find that at?
What's that?
Where would we find it if we would have to go back to it?
Okay, so in the Google Classroom, in your Google Drive, if you go to your drive,
Mm-hmm.
and let me go to my drive, and you see all these folders. I think I named mine Trisha's class, the one that I just archived. And so when you go down,
You'll find it in there.
you're gonna
Okay.
find it right in there. I'm trying to find it, but I have so many different I'm looking. You know, that's a good question. I never really went back and looked for mine, so it might not be there. Let me see. Let me take a look here. I just assumed it went right in, but let me show you where it will.
Would it be in the trash?
No, it's not going to go in the trash. Let me go back to this and show you. See this archived classes?
Okay.
If I click
Yes,
here,
ma'am. Yes,
that's
ma'am.
where it is.
That was all the way at
Also-
the bottom. That was under the hamburger.
Yeah, under the hamburger. Okay, I knew
Okay.
it was somewhere. I never do that, so I didn't really.
Okay.
I had a little trouble finding it. But look, let me show you this too. If you ever want to go to a class and then look at the classwork, you know, let's say you want to go to the classwork folder in your drive. So you see these Meet, Google Calendar, and Class Drive folder, you would just click on that, and there's your drive folder with all of your classroom stuff in it.
Okay.
You see? So it's housing it for you. So this one says my drive, classroom April 23rd, you know, and so it's gonna have all that. You see, I had done one presentation and I used animal classification. So as you can see, I have a quiz here under animal classification. I have some folders here. Within that, I have 2 people that filled out those, you know, so it has their little assignments here, the animal classification assignment. So this just becomes a lot of, you know, a lot of things that are just taken directly from Google Classroom and organized for you in your drive.
Okay.
So you may not see it, you know, I'm looking for it in my drive this way. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Classroom. All your folders are put right there. So you have one huge folder. And then as you can see, these are all my classrooms that I have. Okay. So each and every classroom has a folder. See, all
Mhm.
these classes. Whether I archive them or not, they'll still be here. You see, this is the Trisha's class that I archived, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it's all there. I don't have anything in it, but but it is there. Any other questions?
Start playing, I'll have a ton of them, but until then, no.
All right. So if I don't have any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and turn the recording off. And